down for Christmas. I know what you're going to say. I don't look old enough to be a grandfather.
Is it this one?
Why you got that haircut? You look like back when you was in freaking fifth grade, bro.
What do I say? What do I say?
Oh my gosh, the world's gonna end.
I call this meeting to order.
All right, you remember? Okay.
I remember.
I don't know that we have. Wait a minute. We do have a possible prayer here.
A low Q on a lollipop right now. What would you get this?
Eddie,
Yes.
I found someone for the invocation. Sergeant Jerry Brown would be happy to lead us in opening prayer. So
Okay.
ask him to do so, and then we can do the Pledge of Allegiance.
So I say, what do I say?
Say, Officer Brown, would you please lead us in the invocation? Invocation.
Officer Brown, can you please lead us in invocation?
And for everybody, if when you're speaking, make sure you have green lights on.
We'll bow our heads. Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for bringing these fine young men and women together tonight. We ask that we bestow them with wisdom, that you grant them with wisdom, that you fill their minds with ideas that would be helpful towards what we talk about this evening in reference to this population, homeless population. I ask that you also see them safely home at the end of our meeting. This we ask and pray in Jesus' mighty name. We all say amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, if you would like, I could summarize for you what I sent in the email. As for those of you who were here last month, you'll recall that we had 3 guest speakers. We had Sister Mary Francis from Mercy Mission, who runs the food bank and the mission over right outside where our unhoused population is encamped. Then we heard from 2 homeless people that told us a little bit about their situation and how they ended up there. So our mission this year, chosen by you, is, you decided that you wanted to review the homeless population and and help them in some way or find the solution to that. You also had a side objective to deal with mental health. So you've heard some of the problems. Now, what you want to do in the remaining 4 months that you'll be together, you want to start to formulate a plan of action of what do you want to do. I sent in the email some ideas. One of the things that you could do is start a drive to get some items that would help them in their daily lives. That would be one thing. Some of the ideas I've sent the police department has said that there might be some problems with, and I'm going to have Chief Scott come and talk to you about that. So that's one idea, and that's doesn't have to be the only idea. And part of what we want to accomplish tonight is discuss any ideas that you might have, and then start to develop a plan. So in the next following months, you can execute that plan, and achieve it before you end the school year. So would you like to hear from the chief and what he has to say about some of the items, and he'll explain to you, may not be in the best interest of the camp, that because it's dangerous or whatever. But I'll let Chief Scott Cavaglia explain that all to you, if you'd like. So, Chief?
Please, yeah. There you go. Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor and Council, it's my role as Assistant Police Chief or Assistant Department Head to see that the Mayor's vision and your vision is accomplished. It's also my goal to look out what's best for the city, following laws and things like that. So in order to fulfill vision, sometimes we have to thread the needle a little bit. One of the ideas was for camping supplies like tents and grills and things like that. And while on the surface those all seem very legitimate needs, it causes untold problems, creates homeless camps, it encourages behavior that isn't in anyone's best interest safety-wise. Cooking without running water creates sanitary issues and sickness. So a thought for you to consider would be to narrow that approach or to tailor it a little bit and maybe focus on needs like coats, waterproof jackets, and boots, right? Things that are easy to need, easy to identify, and doesn't cause conflict with South Carolina law or city ordinances. Because we can't, as much as we don't want to see somebody go hungry, and we can't have 20 people cooking on someone else's property. We can't have people setting up tents on other people's private property. So if that happens, we just go and take the tents. And so it's just kind of this cycle. So maybe a thought would be to narrow, we can keep people safe and warm, and maybe find ways to address other needs. Again, it's my role as a department head to never say we can't do that, right? It's my job to try and find solutions. So this is just a thought. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If not, I'll turn them back over to your meeting. Anything? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Chief, if they don't have one, I do.
Yes, sir.
How about coats and all that? That's good. But by the time we collect it, it's going to be hot. Are there other items such as sanitary things like toothpaste and toothbrush and basic everyday?
Those are great ideas, Mr. Mayor, and those can be given away. Where I retired from, we would give away those in like sacks or packs, sanitary items like the mayor said. And I've always been fortunate to be able to afford shoes, and you don't recognize the true luxury of shoes till you don't have them. So I'd always encourage you to try and fundraise for shoes, along with the sanitary packs that the mayor was talking about. Toothbrush, toothpaste. Most of you are probably too young to have a toothache yet, but I can guarantee you a toothache, some of the worst pain you'll ever experience. So maybe some ideas.
Okay, great. Any other questions? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. You might ask anybody if they have any questions.
You want me to ask? Well, I don't think anyone has any questions.
Now, I would suggest, because again, every decision you make is your decision. So now you've heard some ideas from the audience, us. Now, Mr. Mayor, you should see if your council has any ideas of what they think would be a good idea on what to do to help the homeless situation.
So, from left to right, do you have any ideas how we can help the homeless?
Nah, I don't got any ideas right now.
Close. Close. You know, that, Emmanuel, that's a decent idea because the chief said coats and waterproof jackets. Well, there may be other types of clothing, like you're all wearing sweatpants, right? That's worn year round, right? So there's clothing that doesn't have to be just weather related. So I think you're onto a good idea.
Probably building. Wait, is building an option?
What is that?
Building,
Building?
like, like construction.
Given the expense, the time, and there are other issues. Just to tell you, to be honest with you, not everyone's in favor of a building. And the reason being, if we have 50 homeless, we build a building, we'll have 1,000. And that's what, so just building a building may not be a good option besides the fact that it's expensive to do. It would have to, it would take a lot more thought on how we would do it. And I think that would have to come to the council. But one of the things you could do, if the council believes in it, is recommend it to the regular council. Doesn't mean, if you have an idea, one of the reasons you exist, or we got started with this, was for you to decide the future of Hardyville and help the city council in their thinking for the future. So if that's something you vote on and you say, we believe a building should be done, then you can set a resolution and send the recommendation to the city council. So don't lose the idea. But you're going to have to convince the majority. But that's it. I'm going to put it down because it's not a bad idea. It's just a difficult one.
I think we should have another soup kitchen.
I'm sorry.
I think we should have another soup kitchen.
Soup kitchen.
We can put like crackers, fruit snacks, things that you don't have to cook, but that you can snack on, or for a while. I think hygienic products would be something good to give out. Yeah.
I don't have any more ideas, but I think that the hygienic items and shoes are the best option for us.
I'd like to go back to something. See, one of the good things about, there's no bad idea. It's difficult implementation sometimes, but there's no bad idea. Shell, let's go back to your idea. The soup kitchen. One of the things that we did with the police department some years ago, one of the youth councils helped with, we set up a little section right across from the liquor store in that empty lot. We set up a tent and gave out soup and sandwiches to, it wasn't just restricted to the homeless, but it was to any passerby. But what we could do, and we could make sure that that encampment was aware of it if we wanted to do something similar, and make sure that encampment was aware of it, and they would have, they could get there first because we would just let them know. So that it's not an undoable idea. And as for those of you like Eddie, Mr. Mayor, when we had the food drive behind over at the charter school, we did give out other food besides what they took home. We had sandwiches and things. So it's not a bad idea to do something like that. So what we have, ideas that I wrote down were coats, jackets, boots, but I should just say shoes, because we could do sneakers, and that's good for year-round. Hygiene products, clothing of all types, a building, a soup kitchen, at least a one-dayer, and providing ready snacks, things that don't need meal preparation. So that would be an idea as well. Mr. Mayor, you want to find out if there's anything that anybody wants to add?
Does anybody have any more ideas?
Nothing like wipes.
That's a good idea, because if they don't have water, running water, they're outside. But wipes is a good way to stay clean. Okay.
What about light?
Lights?
Flashlights.
Flashlights. Chief, do you see any problem with that? I think, explain that to them.
So maybe we can find something in between, right? If you're in that neighborhood and you see a bunch of flashlights in your backyard, you're going to freak out. Because remember, these folks, even though they are homeless, there's no free property, right? I think that's what people lose sight of. Where these folks are staying, this property does belong to someone. This is the truth. So if we do flashlights, maybe there's more of a lantern idea, but I'm not sure I would endorse, the big LED flashlights. Just my 2 cents on that. It's not violating any laws, but we want to try and coexist as a community here. So we want to try and be respectful for everybody. Thank you, sir.
Chief, when I go walking and it's still dark out, I have a tiny little flashlight like this. It just pretty much lights right in front of me. Would that be okay?
Right, that's what I was getting. It's kind of like when I walk the dog in the morning when it's still dark, I have one of those little lantern flashlights on my keychain. You might have seen them, maybe something like that, as opposed to a big 3-battery LED that lights up the entire backyard.
So small, but that's a good idea, because, they're out at nighttime. As long as we don't make them too big, that's not a bad idea.
A heater. A heater.
Heater?
A battery heater.
There's one of the things that Chief noted to me. There's a couple of. It'd have to be something that's not a potential fire hazard. So I'd have to check with the chief and see what type of heater that would go off a battery that wouldn't be a threat to causing a fire. But I'll write it down.
We could do umbrellas for rain season.
Good idea. Okay. So now, Mr. Mayor, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 things that I wrote down. Some of those can be grouped together, like coats, jackets, boots is really all clothing. So there's 4 of the 11 you could group under clothing. And then everything else is kind of individual. So now it's up to you to decide which of these you want to do, or all of the above, which is number 12. With the exception of, essence, you're going to have to ask the council if they want to propose to the city council that we build a building. If you as a group, 4 out of the 7 of you want to make that resolution to the city council, then you should go ahead and do that. So, Mr. Mayor, what you have to determine is, of these 12, I'm going to say, the 12th would be all of the above. Which of them do you want to do? It's your choice. So, Mr. Mayor, now you have to find out from your council what their choice is. And you do that by asking for a motion. So now, let me give you an example. You ask for a motion, and let's say Isaac over there goes, I'd make a motion that we do everything we discussed. Or Essence makes the motion is that I make a motion that we send a resolution to City Council that we would recommend building some kind of a building. And then you need a second, and then you discuss to see if anybody has any comments or questions. And then if after you've done that, then you take a vote. Okay?
I have a motion.
A motion. Oh goodness. I think that we should do the hygiene, the clothing, which is like 4 of them, right?
The hygiene and the clothing?
Yes.
Okay.
And hygiene, clothing. Oh, wait. Do you think we could do this all at the soup kitchen thing?
Say that, like, that's what I was thinking too.
Okay, so what you could, if that's what you want to do, because you could say, let's do a one-day soup kitchen and give out clothing and hygiene products. So that would be really cool. I don't want to influence the vote. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. I, as mayor, always try not to influence the thinking of my council members. That's why I always go last. You know, I want to make sure that everybody's ideas come forward before I give mine, because sometimes I influence people because I talk too much. But so I try not to do that. So there's one idea. So Essence, you were making a motion. You want to modify it based on what Shell said?
Yes.
What she recommended was that we have a soup kitchen, and at that we give out, we get clothing, hygiene, and I'll throw this anything else in there that we can collect.
And then we could put all of this stuff in like a sack, like he said. And then yeah. I think that could work probably.
I second that.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, the motion is that we hold a soup kitchen and we, in advance of that, collect clothing, hygiene, and with the snacks can go with the soup kitchen, and the other things like flashlights and umbrellas could be part of that as well. So we have a motion, you have a second. Now what you do, you have a motion and a second, you ask if anybody has any further comments or questions about the motion. Now you call for a vote. You have one or two options. As the chair, you have one or two options. You can say all in favor, say aye, raise your hands, and you count and see if you have 4, it passes. Or if you're unsure and people want to still say something before they give their vote or explain their vote, you could call for a roll call vote. And what you do is you go down individually, each one, and they say yes or no. You, as the chair, have that option all the time. Usually what I do, if I think that everybody's in favor based on what they said, I'll just call for all in favor, say aye. I think if I sense that it's maybe not everybody's in favor of the motion, I'll go down one by one, and that's called a roll call vote. So it's up to you, Mr. Mayor. What do you think?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Say all opposed, so we make sure we got everybody counted. So you have a majority. So that, okay. Now's the tough part. Now you need a plan. How are you going to accomplish this? Accomplishing the soup kitchen's easy. We can ask the police department has always been very helpful in setting that up. And I'm sure if you ask them nice that they'll do it again. You saw what they've done in the past, right, Eddie and Emmanuel, you there too. So now, how are you going to get the clothing, the hygiene, the snacks, the little flashlights, the umbrellas? What now, Mr. Mayor, again, go down one by one and ask your council for ideas on how you're going to get those items.
From right to left, do we have any ideas how we're going to collect the items?
Like you said, the gated communities, and then we could probably collaborate with schools, because we all go to different schools. We could probably talk to the principal and ask for like a drive. I don't know if you want to like do a hygiene product for one school and then like clothes for one school, or do all of them for every school.
What do you think?
Whatever the council decides.
What do you think?
I second that.
I'm not sure. Actually, All
Anybody have any thoughts on that? Whether you should give every school the option of giving whatever they want, or do different things by different schools?
I think different. Like,
What was that, Shell? Different schools, different things. I have a suggestion for you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't you ask our friends in blue over here what they think would be the better idea? Folks, Chief, Joey, Sergeant Brown, are there, what do you suggest to the group? If they're going to collect all these things,
Can I get another minute?
and they're going to ask the schools to drop off items, do you think it would be better to assign one school for hygiene, one school for clothing, or just put it out and say, okay, you can give any of it in any school? What, do you have any thoughts? What do you think would be better if we got donations of these things?
Well, I don't think you'd have a problem collecting any particular item from any particular school, but if you only went after one item, that would be the item you would get. You give people too many choices, sometimes they choose not to do it all. So, you know, that's my thought on it.
And to follow up what Corporal Ginn said, right, it's, or maybe we don't get enough coats, but we get a lot of sanitary items, right? The goal is to get these objects to these folks. So it'd be my advice to, let's see what we can collect and sort it out later.
Yeah.
So you would suggest asking every school to just give whatever they want?
Within the narrow band the council was talking
With
about.
a group of items.
And then if you feel like you're running short on some items, we could ask people that have been generous to us in the past to maybe fill those gaps.
I think it's very difficult if you just ask for a small list from each place, because what might happen, let's say we're Live Oaks, you're going to do the clothing, and Ridgeland, you're going to do the hygiene. Well, you may get nothing but hygiene and get very few clothing. Whereas if each school was asked for the whole list, you might get a better mix of stuff. But either way, whatever you get, think of it this way. They have zero now. So whatever you give, you're adding to what they have now. So either way is a good option. But now, that's the schools. There are, where you're going to get the most donations, where you're going to get the most donations are from the gated communities. Mr. Mayor, Shell is biting at the bit, has something to say.
I think we should host a fundraiser and raise money to get the supplies as well.
Like with the schools, you could do like a dress down day, like, and then they usually charge like $1 sometimes to dress down. Could be a good idea.
Mr. Mayor, keep asking for ideas. You have several down that end. See if
can I go back on yours? For the school for $1, I think you should make it $2. 'Cause our
Like,
school does
whatever
$2.
price, yeah, whatever price I think is fine.
there are things like, I know when I was a kid, I went to Catholic school, so they made us do a candy bar drive, and we went out and sold candy bars for 50 cents. So when you have a fundraiser, it could be something like that. There are companies that would supply you with candy bars so you can run a fundraiser. So that's one. That's one idea. I will say one thing, and the chiefs, if you want to say yes or no to this, many people do not want to give money to homeless people because they don't want them using it for drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, so I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I do know a lot of people are hesitant to give money to anybody who panhandles because you don't know what they're going to do with it. If you give them a box of crackers, they're going to eat it. If you give them $1, you don't know if they're going to put it with other dollars and buy, a bottle of booze. So I'm just saying, I know people are reluctant to give money to people who are homeless and panhandling. So that's the only I don't think it's a bad idea, but somehow we would have to market it in a way that they know that money is going to go buy toothpaste, or a flashlight. And so you'd have to create the marketing so they know we're not giving them money. We're giving them products that we'll buy with the fundraiser. Right? Do you agree or disagree?
No, sir. Yes, and I would urge the council to focus on tangible items. People tend to understand that better and react better to what the mayor said. I'd also urge the council to consider maybe going before some of the gated communities at their monthly meetings and asking for donations that way. You can create a flyer ahead of time, and we've had great response here. Part of what drew me to Hardeeville is the generosity of the community here, and they always show up. Just my thoughts.
I was going to bring up the same thing. What I would ask you, and if all 7 of you could come, that would be even more effective. I can set up, there is every first Friday in Sun City, there's a meeting. I could have you appear in front of that group. There's also, I think, in Margaritaville, the last Monday of every month. And, that's soon. If you came in front of that group and asked them, you as a group, and asked them for this list of products or whatever you decide about a fundraiser, I think you would see more donations than you were expecting. Okay, so that's something you also need to decide.
Ideas or any questions?
I think what you have to decide, you pretty much decide what you want to do. There's 2 suggestions that have come up. Okay, so you're going to ask for donations from the school. Ask your principal to put a donation box out or something, drop off donations. So, A, do you want to do it, the product list by school? Or do you want to just give each school the whole product list? So that's the first decision you have to make, okay? Then the second decision you have to make, do you want to do a fundraiser? And we'd have to look at what kind of things that we can sell as a fundraiser. Let me just say one thing to you, and you can do whatever you want. If it's a fundraiser, each one of you will have a lot more work to do. So if you commit to something like that, you're committing to your time because you will be I'll help finding where to get the fundraiser items. But that means if it's going to be successful, each one of you is going to have to go out and sell it. So if you're willing to do that, it's a good idea. If you're not going to put in the time, then don't vote for it. Okay, so just understand what you're voting for. I think it's a great idea, and you will get a lot of help from me and the city. It won't be all on you, but you're going to have to get it together and do the selling. Okay, so Mr. Mayor, those are the two items that you have to decide on. A, do you want to do the donation box by item in each school or separated by school? Or do you want to do all the items, give whatever you want? And then the second vote you'll ask for, do you want to do an organized fundraiser where you're actually selling something to raise money?
Okay, well, before we start, what about the communities, the gated communities, like,
Well, what I would suggest that you do is anybody have any ability with a computer that could create a flyer? Any of you like doing that kind of stuff? Any,
Like on Canvas. We all have Canvas in it.
So what I would suggest is that you create a flyer. And the reason why a flyer is good because it can be emailed to a lot of different people. And also the flyer, if you get a box for donations at the school, you can attach the flyer and explains what you're looking for. So a flyer is something that is easy to use and easy to get your message out. So you would ask for, so depending on what you decide, if you want this whole list on the flyer and ask everybody to choose what they want to give, then the flyer would say all these items. And a lot of what you'll get are used items. You know, probably a lot of people have clothing that they give out all the time, for instance. And you may get people buying, you know, making a donation and going out and buying something. So see what the people want to do, your council wants to do. Someone should make a motion. Do you want to ask every place to have their choice or divide it up by school?
starting a motion? No. Will anyone start a motion?
I'll help you along. I suggest that you don't divide it up by place. Just make the list, whatever anybody wants to donate. It'll be a lot easier for you. It's a good idea, but I think it'd be easier for you to implement if you just say, okay, whatever you want to donate off this list. So why don't you take a vote if with that?
Let's start a vote. All in favor for splitting up the schools?
Supposed to say aye or say nay.
Oh, say aye.
Say something.
Say aye and raise your hand.
All right, so now take a vote Two. Now take a vote that each school donates whatever they want.
All in favor to each school donating what they want, say aye.
Okay. So now what we've decided so far, we're going to have a soup kitchen, create a soup kitchen, and we're going to give out clothing, which includes jackets, coats, waterproof jackets, coats, shoes, and any other kind of clothing. Hygiene products, snacks, small flashlights, umbrellas. Okay? And that's what should go onto the flyer. Now, Mr. Mayor, who's going to create the flyer? I think Shell just went, oh, no. Does anybody have that talent? Does anybody know anyone that has that talent?
Yearbook thing?
Aren't you with it?
No.
Oh, you didn't go to school.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, Manuel, okay, you want to give it a try? And what I'll do is I'll ask our media department to create one. And then that way, what you create, our media will, maybe we can combine them, or if yours is, you like yours better than what the media does, I'll make sure you get it sent to you, and then you can decide which one you like the best, okay? Great, thank you for volunteering. So Emmanuel's going to do the flyer, and also media. Now, ask the council, I'm going to, I'll arrange it if you want to do it. Monday afternoon, I believe January 26th at 4 p.m., we'll go to Margaritaville. And then you just come, you just one person be the spokesperson and explain what you're trying to do, and I'll help you with that. And then you can leave. The same with, that would be in Margaritaville. And we'll figure out transportation and things. We'll help you get in there. On Friday, 4 o'clock again, on February 6th. And again, if you can't come at 4 and you can be there at 4:30, the whole meeting's an hour. So it'll go till 5 o'clock. So even if you come at the end of the meeting, we can, because it'll be 5 minutes. But the more people who come, the more effective your request will be. And I'm telling you, if you all came, you'd have everybody raising their hands that they'll want to help you get the word out. So, and you'll collect a lot more that way. And then there should be one person in each school who will be responsible to go to their principal, get the permission to put out a box where collections can take place. And I think we have some still in the city from Christmas. And you put the flyer on, deposit your donations here, something like that. So you need one person from each school. So we have Royal Live Oaks, and Essence you are representing. You have a number of people from Ridgeland. We have Isaac from John Paul II. Who wants to volunteer to do that by school? Okay, so Eddie, Essence, Isaac, will you take the lead on that? We don't have anyone from Hardyville, but I'll be talking to the principal and I'll see what I can do. Okay, so what else? Am I forgetting something?
Fundraiser. We're gonna vote on the fundraiser.
Oh, vote and see if you want a fundraiser.
All in favor for the fundraiser, say aye.
Okay. What I'll try to do is I'll do some research and see if there is any fundraiser that doesn't take up a lot of your time. But typically that's something you got to make a big commitment for. So it's going to take a few months. There are 3 meetings left: February, March, and then April should be the execution of your plan, meaning that's when you will have I call it the soup kitchen, and that's where you decided you want to give out the product to the homeless. So we have 2 meetings to get everything together, and in April next month we'll have to set a date on when when you'll have your soup kitchen. Okay. Great. We accomplished a lot today. So, Mr. Mayor, you should now ask your council if they have any further comments or questions before adjournment.
All in favor to leave?
Oh my gosh.
What's the word that you
Adjourn. Adjourn.
adjourn? So is it a motion or is it all in favor?
Any time before you have a vote, you should have a motion and a second. And then you ask for any last comments, and then you take a vote.
All in favor to adjourn?
No, you have a ask if anyone has a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
You have to second
know-
it.
I have a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second.
Okay. All in favor to adjourn?
Say.
Say aye.
All right. Thank you all. I think this was very productive. See, that's why we're doing it this way, because you learn. That Shell has some experience, so you did good. And each meeting, and this is part of learning. And just because you're in a hot seat doesn't mean everybody else isn't learning from your experience. So, congratulations. I think good job. Thank you. And have a good evening. Oh,